Here we are.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, then.
Yep. Just tweeting out the links for our post-game podcast.
Normal stuff.
Yep. Normal to me.
Mike has been in the air, just flying around Los Angeles for the past 72 hours.
Yeah, it's felt like that. Yeah.
Waiting for the result of the game.
Yeah, waiting for this, waiting for the Sixers to lose, so it was safe to land.
I held out to the end, even though they're down 35. I was like, just a little bit more, one more circle. Okay.
CJ, I saw a special on the Herman Miller high chair.
You see they're in some hot water?
No, what they do?
Their CEO got an internal Zoom meeting leaked of her talking to employees about like why they should stop asking for bonuses and higher pay because like their sales aren't matching with it, and it was just like really not great, and it got leaked, and now people are not happy.
I still need one of them chairs.
Love the chairs, but CEO is not a fan.
Yeah. Well, I won't be buying the CEO to hold me up at my desk while maybe I'll buy a used chair. That way they don't get anything. I get a refurbished chair.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Let's do this podcast. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is proudly presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of the process, at 302-864-8643. BodyBio. Get 20% off any order at bodybio.com with code FIRECJ. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged, and Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with code Dave Silver. On the show today, the masked man himself, Mike, returns now that the Sixers have lost. They split in Boston. That's the bad news. Well, not the Mike part, but the loss is the bad part. The good news is Joel Embiid finally wins MVP. We will talk about that. Someone left Jokic off their ballot completely. We'll guess who that might be. And that's about it. We are aiming for 11,000 YouTube subscribers now. That's how long it's been, Mike. 11,000 YouTube subscribers. That's how long it's been. We are at 10,500. If you're watching on YouTube, or even if you're not, subscribe and hit the notification button. We're live after every playoff game. I did mention Kinetic Skateboarding. We have, I think, 15 or 20 of the Unsung Heroes t-shirts remaining from Live Ricky 5 with B-Ball Paul and CJ on it, designed by Abby. Go to kineticskateboarding.com and search Unsung Heroes. You can get it there. Beautiful cream colored t-shirt with pink graphic. Great shirt. I own one myself. And if you use code Dave Silver, you get 9.1% off if it is your first order. Without any further ado, we're back, baby. Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who gifts custom Rolexes to all of his teammates. That is one, Mike Levin. Welcome back, friend.
I'm back, fresh off the honeymoon. I am extremely jet lagged. I'm so tired right now. It is 4:30 in the morning in Italy. I was falling asleep by the end of the game.
Wow, it feels the
roles
shoe is
have
on
been
the other
reversed.
foot. Yep.
Yeah, we got back Monday night and then immediately started striking with the WGA Tuesday morning and on the picket lines. And I took today off to try to just wake my body back up, and it didn't work. We're still here, but we're on the podcast. I don't know what I'm gonna say. It does feel great to come back to a 40-point loss. That is thrilling stuff for me.
Just about right. Well, just so you know, the things that have happened with the Sixers since you left.
Yeah. Can we start with Sixers Nets game 1? I have some thoughts about that. Just roll it back. Start from the beginning.
So, couple of things. Sixers swept their first round series. There have been 2.5 B-ball Paul games, legitimately. 1 James Harden game, 1 PJ Tucker game, 1 Joel Embiid knee sprain, an entire time off, the comeback from the knee sprain. Sixers win the game 1 in the second round for the first time in 40 years. Joel Embiid wins MVP, and then you return, and they lose by 40 to the Celtics.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about any of that. I didn't know any of it.
B-ball Paul chance the first game you weren't even here, the first playoff game, unreal. So, the big story in this one is Embiid comes back. To my eye, even though it looked like his timing was all screwed up, he was grabbing at the knee, yada yada yada. To my eye, he looked springy. He didn't look encumbered. We've seen him encumbered physically before. He didn't look that way. I have so little analysis in that everyone sucked. The entire team sucked. James Harden went from the best playoff performance of his career to, what was he, 0 for 8 from 3, 0 for 7 from 3, maybe 0 for 6, 2 from 4 to a 14 from the field. Just an atrocious James Harden-like playoff performance. Embiid had some fantastic blocks, and you saw an enormous difference on their defense at the rim, but was not himself offensively, as you wouldn't expect him to be, being off for 2 weeks and having the knee thing. It was just Maxey had a little run there at one point, but just overall, they looked clunky and sluggish and out of sorts. And it was the sort of game that looked like the team has after they surprisingly beat the favored team on the road in game 1. I'm not making excuses, but they were just everybody was terrible.
No, for sure. I mean, a pretty classic, Boston pissed away game 1, the game they obviously should have won. And they came back the more aggressive team, the more desperate team, more physical team, got to all the 50-50 balls. The Sixers offense was too much one-on-one stuff. They were way sloppier with the ball. There wasn't much offensive flow. And then the shots just weren't falling. Harden had a bunch of things just rim out, toilet bowl out. A couple things just didn't go. Embiid missed an alley-oop, that kind of thing. So it's just one of those wasn't their nights. I was coming into this game going immediately after they won game 1, which I watched on a terrible illegal stream on the plane. So I have a vague idea of what happened, although I did watch a bunch of highlights afterwards that were oh, that's who that was. It's better to watch when there's not a few more pixels. I was don't play Embiid, take the win, get out of Boston clear. In fact, don't play Harden. Look how good he played when he was so fresh. Let him rest again until game 3. We're not going to win game 2 no matter what. And then I was well, I'm a massive pussy for that, obviously. But I guess the thought process is let Embiid get his sea legs under him a little bit.
That was
let him get his conditioning back and let him work his way into it so he's not coming in fresh. But yeah, I mean, it just felt like there was a 0% chance they were going to win this game. I talked myself into believing it early on, and then they were hanging around despite the fact that shots weren't falling, and then just got the doors blown off them by a team that is probably a better team generally, and especially when they're playing as desperate as they played in the second half.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you're gonna play Embiid in, look, ultimately it's up to him and whether he can play through it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I
and
do think
he looked better than I thought he would look, for sure.
Yes, I agree. And for every 2 days, we all know his loss of fitness when he doesn't play is drastic. And for every couple of days he is off further, maybe the knee heals up a little better, but the fitness goes down a little better. So what was good is the good thing about the blowout is I don't know how many minutes he played. Where he played probably 24 minutes or
27.
Yeah. So he didn't end up playing 42 minutes in his first game back.
Yeah.
It was, and he didn't hurt himself again.
Yeah. The benefit of not losing by like 8 instead of losing by 40 is okay. Just
right.
Everybody go to bed.
I was gonna mention that the Harden specifically, who did not play well and shot incredibly poorly. I was going to mention that in game 1, and I talked about this with AU. By the way, a shout out to AU, who did get obliterated for one of the worst takes of all time. Barber take will long be talked about on the podcast, but his standing in for you. We had some great co-hosts as well. Adam Lefko, Elliot Short Parks was in for me. Who am I forgetting? CJ Lefko, Short
Sixers
Parks.
Adam.
Oh no, Sixers Adam did not.
Oh, he didn't?
No, he didn't. He's at the games.
True.
Yeah. So anyway,
no Sixers Adam. What was
he's
I
at the
looking at?
games. He's in Boston.
Wasn't there a game? Wasn't there a podcast in between?
It was AU. It was AU.
It was AU.
Yeah, it was AU. Anyway, so shout out to AU. But so I'm thinking about Harden game 1, and he did bring back that little mid-range thing that he was doing the first couple of weeks of the year. Yep. And it was nice to see, especially because, and I don't know what you saw and what you didn't see, but the terrifying thing about the first series against the Nets is that Harden was either missing everything at the rim or getting blocked at the rim.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you sort of wondered, well, where was that little thing? And then he brought it back. And then tonight it wasn't there. But he did shoot 2 of them, I think.
Yeah, he should shot a couple.
But the thing is, if you go back to game 1, and we've been saying this all year, the thing that happened at the beginning of game 1 that allowed everything else to happen was the first couple of threes going in.
Absolutely.
And it just puts the defense off balance enough to make up for the step that he doesn't have anymore. Yeah. And they didn't go in tonight. And I could say he could do that little mid-ranger, but I actually just, with a defensive team like Boston, it just everything, especially for him, is going to really, really, really depend on that 3-pointer going in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's exactly right. I think that he needs them to be a little bit off balance. He's not just going to blow by somebody off speed anymore. He has to be making them think and like out. They have to be guessing, almost like I don't know. Don't have a metaphor. Yeah. Too tired. But he's just really got to. If those first couple threes go in, then he can drive by. Those mid-range shots really have come from him being not able to get all the way to the rim anymore as much or as often. Which he did once or twice in game 1, but most of those were most of his shots came out of off jumpers anyway. But I thought that he's not getting really the grift calls that he is used to getting.
He got a few tonight.
He got a few tonight. He got to the line a number of times, 10 times, which is a lot. But he just, unless the 3 is going in, he's sort of not able to be an impactful scorer, let's say, anymore. That's really it's and then once the 3 start at the beginning, all of a sudden 3s come in and they're playing up on him a little bit more. They're thinking about it. They're setting doubles a little bit more. I thought after the 45-point game that it was going to be like, I wasn't expecting him to score over 40 again in the playoffs, but the fact that he can, that defenses and players especially already respect him that much and saw what he just did, I think that will draw more of the defense as the playoffs go on. Didn't really happen tonight, but maybe in different matchups if they get past Boston than it would. But I like when teams like overload onto Harden
Yes.
and allow the shooters to get there. That's when the Sixers are at their best, because he can't that often or that consistently get by guys anymore. But really, I mean, the biggest thing with Harden for me is just like his defense was horrendous tonight.
It was bad.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
And like he's falling asleep off ball. He's like turning his whole body in the lane. Like somebody's posting up or like driving around the post-up area on the opposite side, and then on the opposite elbow, he's fully turned his body in that direction, looking at him, and his guy's either behind him, either cutting past him for a dunk down the lane, or just like he can't get back to his guy to contest. Like it happens so often. He's really just like not a locked-in basketball player unless the ball is in his hands. There's just not, unless he's actively dribbling the ball, he doesn't have an impact on the game, which I think is frustrating because he is clearly a smart player and he just loses focus so quickly unless he's got the ball in his hands. But look, those 45 points were huge. They stole one out of two in Boston.
Yeah.
It was massive. Yeah, I think it's just he's got to. If those threes go in, it's a different ball game. They cover him differently, all that stuff. But definitely not the night.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Adam Kasabi, the official realtor of the process. I was talking with Kasabi earlier today about potentially banning him, and that I forgot to put his commercials in April. And I was like, hey, man, I forgot to put your commercials in April. And he was like, well, the Sixers didn't lose in the playoffs. Am I banned? And I was like, we might have to. And he's like, you can ban my commercials if you need to. If they lose, you could. If they win, if they keep winning, you can ban the commercial. Wow. Adam Kasabi, if you need a house at the Delaware beaches, you've been thinking about a beach house. What are you fucking with Jersey for? Property taxes are high. It's bullshit. Go to Delaware. It's just as good. Home prices are less. The property taxes are way less, and you got a fucking guy. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. He and his team, based out of Long and Foster and Bethany Beach, they run Delaware, run Maryland. Delaware beaches are what they specialize in. Have helped a number of Ricky listeners get a home there in Delaware beaches. What you do is you buy the house, you rent it out for most of the summer, but you keep it for, several weeks for your own vacation for the summer. And that rent pays for the mortgage the entire year. You got yourself a shore house. And Mike, generational wealth. I made that up. That helps. Yeah.
I've heard that helps.
Yeah. So if any of the Delaware beaches, Rehoboth, Lewis, Bethany Beach, Dewey, any of those places, Ksebe, Ksebe, and if you need a realtor in a place other than Delaware or Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, you go to Ksebe. He will find you the best person. We'll interview people. We'll go to his realtor circles and find the best person for you. So the only realtor phone number you need is 302-864-8643. I'm going to say it slowly for you. 302-864-8643. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, or Adam at processrealtor.com. The minute that I thought to myself tonight, and I almost don't even want to belabor tonight because I'd love to spend enough time on the Joel MVP because I thought it was awesome. Everything about it was awesome. The minute that I knew they weren't going to win this game is toward the end of the first half, and the ball gets kicked out to George Niang at the top of the three-point line, who inexplicably decides not to shoot a wide open three-pointer, and then inexplicably decides not to pass to a wide open Tobias Harris in the corner for a three-pointer, and dribbles right into a blocked 17-foot jumper. I was just like, and it was right when, you have those turning points in the game where you can maybe get it to 6 and instead gets to 12 or something. Yep. And it was one of those right before the half. And it just felt like, needed that one, really needed that one. So whatever.
Yeah. Niang just can't play in this matchup.
No, he looks terrible.
He's just like, he's always bad against Boston. I've been a proponent for like, at least his shooting gravity is such that like, even if a guy is glued to him, that means they're not doubling onto Embiid or something. But he's just not really getting shots off. And he's so easy to get blown by on defense, especially it's Jaylen Brown who he's having to cover. That's That's tough. That's nice for Jaylen Brown, but tough for everybody else. Yeah, he just hasn't been good. I think there were a couple times it felt like end of shot clock stuff, Sixers moving too slow, and Boston is like so engaged on the defensive end. Their length is presenting so much of an issue that they're just like slapping the ball away. Happened to Tobias a couple times, happened to James, where they're just like, you waited too long, there's nothing going, and now we're getting a hand and gunking it up even more. But yeah, I mean the who's the last couple bench spots is interesting right now. I think I would take George out of the rotation for this series, and we can discuss in future series whether the matchup depends on it. But like this is just a really bad matchup for him, and so then you go to like, do you do Shake? Do you do Daniel House? Did you see enough out of Jaden Springer on defense in that little run? I would say not quite yet, but a nice taste for him to get 10 playoff minutes for next season.
Little Shake Milton, something.
I would say Shake. I would say like having another guy that can create his own shot pretty quickly, that can get to the rim. His release is slow, but it's not like Niang's quick release has gotten them anything in this series so far. And Shake is at least can hold up a little bit as a defender, can allow Maxey to keep working off ball with where his jump shot is obviously a weapon. I just feel like it's weird that he I understand why he fell out of the rotation. It's kind of because like the Sixers 3 guard spots ahead of him are relatively solidified and he doesn't have a quick release, but he's good this year. He's a good player. And I think just sometimes you just want to play your good players. And Niang hasn't been right now. So it's time to switch something out.
By the way, if there was, Harden is a good example for one player to show the difference between games 1 and 2. The other one, DeAnthony Melton was so good in game 1.
Yeah, he was awesome.
And was just in game 2, just was do too much DeAnthony Melton. Like when he is hitting when he's just taking threes off the catch, he is great. And when he is trying to drive to the rim on his own, it reeks of everything else not working. I don't really blame him. But
Rob Williams is back there and he's like going up for a floater over him. It's like that's not gonna work, my guy. It wasn't good. Nobody was good tonight. You were right. And defensively, they think they were pretty good in the first half because of how often. I mean, Joel had 5 blocks in the first half, which was ridiculous. A couple of really, really impressive ones, and he was dissuading them from even attacking at all a lot of the time because he's back there. But an early block on Smart, the transition block on Tatum, the huge block on the Jalen poster attempt, that was ridiculous. And I think because the slight bummer about losing this one with Joel is Horford was shooting poorly from 3. Everybody else on the team was shooting pretty excellently, especially Grant Williams and Malcolm Brogdon. But the concern with Joel in this kind of series, is they can spread you out.
Yep.
Joel, especially on a bad knee, not good at contesting hard on the perimeter, or at least you don't want him to be doing that because you'd rather him protecting the rim. And Horford hasn't made him pay for that yet. So the fact that Horford was 1 of 8 from 3, I was almost like, can you just hit a couple so that you will then miss a couple in future games? But I don't know that that's how it works necessarily. But yeah, I thought it was weird that they didn't go to an Embiid Harden pick and roll in the first half. And then they kind of went away from it. I was like 2. I counted 2 the whole game. I thought it was bizarre they didn't do that more. But I am glad that Embiid got his daily blow by of Al Horford to dunk on him. That happens every game. The jab and then the blow by afterwards. I thought that was nice, 2-handed. But yeah, I mean, ultimately the defense, even though the defense was pretty good in the first half because of Joel, I thought the defense overall was very bad. It was the same shit that they've always done, which is overhelping, overlooking, not getting in there. How many steals they have? 1? They had 6? The Celtics had 6. We had 2. Yes. The Sixers had 2 steals, and one of them was Shake Milton in garbage time. So they had 1 non-garbage time steal, and it felt that way. It felt like you're not getting out on anybody. You're not helping well. You're not doing anything intentionally. It's kind of just lazily wandering around the court watching the ball. And that's they were doing that all season. So it's especially when they take their foot off the gas a little bit in a game that they're like, we would like to have this game, but we don't need to have this game.
But it would be great to have.
It would have been great. Oh, look, I'm not saying I would have loved the game, but they played like they didn't have to have it, and Boston played like they had to have it.
one last thing on this game, and I felt it when I don't think he hit a shot. I think somebody else hit a shot, and it went to timeout, and Al Horford was like screaming, excited. And I've never felt this way before because I never really blamed him for getting a horrible contract with the Sixers and then starting with Joel Embiid, who didn't want to play with him and played the same position. But I looked at him, I was like, I fucking hate this guy.
Sure.
Like, he should have never been on the Sixers. The fact that they signed a fucking guy who was Embiid's arch rival and played the same position and put him in the starting lineup with him. And by the way, he fucking sucked when he was here.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Way better, worse than he ever. I can't stand that guy.
Yeah, I think that he was a Celtics mole in the same way that Mike Muscala is a Sixers mole.
Yeah. When I heard when he hit, I wasn't looking at the TV, but I heard Muscala for 3 tonight, and I had a grin. I had a little grin.
That's bait. He's baiting them into it. Like, yeah, I'm on your side for sure. I'm on your side. He's a Sixer. He's a Sixer for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna come out of this series with an extra first-round pick somehow.
They should.
Yeah.
I have a couple. I thought it was like a weird Tobias game. He like did his thing, but not anything more. And also, too often just like stands and watches other guys get an offensive rebound right in front of him. When Tobias isn't like playing pissed off, he's so flat-footed and doesn't get to a 50-50 ball. There was a couple egregious examples of that being the case. I mean, the Celtics also took 13 more shots than the Sixers. They took 51 threes to the Sixers 30, and they took 92 shot attempts to the Sixers 79. And that's because the Sixers turned the ball over more. Celtics got more offensive rebounds despite missing fewer shots, all that stuff. So it was just like they just got out hustled, and Tobias was kind of an example of how that happened. I thought it was a really bad PJ game. Like, everybody was bad. Everybody was bad.
It was a bad PJ game.
It was a bad PJ game. Like, you got to shoot when you're open. You just got to shoot when you're open.
You have to shoot the corner threes. You have to shoot the corner.
At least those. It's baffling to like not take those kinds of shots and then to go like, all right, time for my up and under on Rob Williams. Like, that was a mistake and an odd one. And then he'll hit you with one of his obvious and very dumb moving screens right in front of the ref. So that was a bad one. But he's obviously had a great playoffs, and I appreciate him. But too many record scratches from everybody. We can't get back into this as the playoffs. Like, shoot when you're supposed to shoot. That being said, thought it was another solid B-ball performance. Thought it was another very solid B-ball performance in 16.
It was an understated B-ball performance.
Understated except for one particular moment where he threw a behind-the-back pass to DeAnthony Melton for a layup.
It was so good.
He's just the best. He's just the absolute best. There was one play where he bit on a Brogdon pump fake, but then he still got the block on it from behind, which was excellent. And then, I keep thinking about every time we watch B-ball after the live show, I keep thinking like, okay, in the same way that Tobias, I was looking at Tobias and being like, is he thinking about me as he's about to decide if he should dunk this or not? Now I'm thinking is B-ball thinking of me when like he switches onto a smaller guy, and are they going to send help or not? And I hope he has my voice in my head, in his head, when he's saying like, I don't want no help. I'm screaming no help. And so he's defending Tatum on a switch. No help comes. And he makes him take a tough fadeaway jumper. He misses. B-ball takes off, and Harden hits him with the outlet for a transition dunk. I loved that play. I loved it. I thought it was a very, very solid, fine B-ball game. Obviously, he's not the defender and rim protector Embiid is, but he's, far better than any other option that they have. So he still does his thing and does it well.
After he caught the touchdown pass from Harden and dunked it, we got the B-ball excited, but doesn't want to look too excited smile right after that one. I love that. Yeah. I love it. Love that. We got a great voicemail about B-ball. 833 Lickface is the voicemail number.
Wikipedia has Paul Reed up here, and it's just got Paul Reed and then in quotations, basketball. This motherfucker, that's all you need to know. Nothing else. He doesn't sell hoodies. He doesn't have a life outside of this. He is the epitome of basketball. Fuck Boston. Fuck Jason Tatum. My girlfriend loves his chips. Fuck his chips. They're delicious. I'm never eating them again. Fuck Jaylen Brown. Fuck Malcolm Brogdon. Fuck Missoula. I still have very little faith and am ready for the depression and anxiety to sink in on a day-to-day basis. But for right now, me and Paul Reed, quotations basketball, are going to feel that dog in him and get it, baby. Love you, Spike. Love you, Mike. Love you, AU. Love you, CJ.
I loved it.
Jason Tatum has chips?
You must.
I
didn't know Jason Tatum had chips.
I didn't know he had chips.
I love that B-ball is there were two legitimate B-ball Paul games in the Nets series.
It's unbelievable. He's become a sensation.
Yep. The game one.
Doc is so wrong. Doc is so wrong about it. And he's really started blaming, and now there's more reporting blaming like the other players for like not trusting him. But I'm just never gonna. I'm gonna blame Doc forever. I'm not gonna blame like Harden for not trusting him or Tobias or PJ for yelling at him or whatever. Like Doc didn't play him. He played so many other guys over him who were so much worse. And B-ball is he's just the best. Those 4 fucking free throws, dude.
Oh my God.
He hit in a playoff game and that mattered so much. He
Yep.
hit all 4. Didn't touch the rim. Beautiful stuff. And then impacted that fucking shot too.
Yes.
On the drive. He almost got a block or a steal, whatever. I love him. I love him so much. I'm so happy for him.
Hey, we're about to talk about Embiid's MVP that we finally got. If you are, there they are, the Jason Tatum ruffles.
Great. I look at Tatum and think like I would love some from
chip.
barbecue chip.
Yeah. Wait, I thought, were there 2 motherfucking Paul Reed?
Motherfucking Paul Reed! It's Derek in North Wales. I love it. Let's go Sixers, baby. Believe.
If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, we'd like to get to 11,000 by the end of the playoffs. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by BodyBio. BodyBio. You know, I talk about Elite a lot, which is your perfect hydration solution. Pure electrolytes. No artificial flavors. No extra sugar. No artificial colors. Just a little bit. If you're traveling, hydration can be a thing, especially if you're on a plane for a while. You want to make sure you drink enough water. Also, you want to make sure you get enough electrolytes. Elite. I just got my 2 giant bottles because I ran out last week. I drink a little bit in the morning, a tiny capful in my water, then a tiny capful in my water at night, and I stay hydrated. Got rid of my cramping problems. You have cramping problems? You get cramps in your calves and your feet, Charlie horse, shit like that. Try Elite. Mike swears by BodyBio.
I do.
I was
gut plussing all through Europe. Pounding Gut Plus and Cacio e Pepe.
Gut Plus is the only gut supplement you need. Take a probiotic, fucking throw it away. Take Gut Plus as a prebiotic, gets rid of the bad bacteria, allows your body to create its own probiotic, which is what should happen. And then postbiotic comes in, gets rid of all of the bad symptoms you want, the bloat, the irregularity. Gut Plus. Go to bodybio.com, bodybio.com, and use code FIRECJ, FIRECJ, CJ. Get 20% off your entire order anytime. Bodybio.com, FIRECJ. Just try Elite, try Gut Plus. It'll make a difference for you. It's made a difference for a lot of our listeners. Once again, go to bodybio.com and use code FIRECJ. Well, Mike, it finally happened. CJ, can we get the video of him finding out? After 2 years of Joel Embiid finishing second in MVP voting, this beautiful thing happened today, or yesterday. Yesterday? Yesterday.
The 2023 MVP from the Philadelphia 76ers.
Congratulations, we go. out of here, man.
Not be possible, without you guys. All you guys. Not just the players. For the guys that have been here with me, since the process days, we've been through a lot. And thank you guys for always believing in me. Like I said, I appreciate you guys, and we're gonna celebrate this. Like I said, for 5 minutes. It's been longer than 5 minutes, but we're gonna do it and focus on game 2.
So
they did lose game 2 by 40 points. Sort of a tough way to go, but I fucking love that, man. I love watching Embiid react to it. That little smile he does when he says Philadelphia, little quick smirk. Like, he's just, and I wish I wasn't so jet lagged when we're talking about this. I'm hanging by a thread, but he's just like such a special person, a special player, and like you gotta kind of block out all the noise of what like the national narrative is about him on like various talk shows and reporting shows, and like what like sort of ornery people on Twitter say, and you just gotta like not give a fuck about that, because like if you've been with the Sixers, or if you've given a shit about Embiid since he was in college or since he got drafted by the Sixers, like he wasn't playing, he wasn't healthy, he was out for 1 year, and then the devastating news that he would have to miss another full year, like, and then seeing him like get better as the years go on. If you were there for like, you just like him dealing with his brother's death, obviously is so sad. Like, he didn't see his family for so long when he came to the States. Like, his development as a player and as a person is just really, really special and unique. And I just love the guy so much, and I'm so happy for him. I couldn't be happier for another person. He's incredible. He has turned himself into one of the best centers of all time. I hope his prime continues for many, many years, whether or not he wins more MVPs, but just continues to like get respect for being a guy that does it on both ends of the court, that is capable of taking over a game in so many different ways. I love him. And I love that this team has rallied around him. I love that Harden has his back, and the quote of Embiid saying Harden was like made it his mission to make him MVP since he got here, I thought is really cool. I love that he shouted out Korkmaz for being on the team just as long as him, and Shake also not too long after that. Like, it's just a special thing. I saw Kate Scott on Instagram posted about like the physical therapist that has been there since Joel was a rookie, and like her hugging him and crying. Like, that's just awesome. Like, it's easy to forget like how many people like are in this organization that aren't just like Daryl and Elton and like Hinkie and Colangelo and Brett and Doc or whatever. Like, there's so many people that have been there for a while, and it just feels like, from the fans, from the people that have stuck around the team, and from Joel and his family, like, it's just like, I'm so happy for the guy, man. He's the best. This rules.
I think, there's been a lot of MVP arguing over the last couple of years, most of it by us, 85% of it by us. But if you watch that video, that minute and a half of him getting the MVP, it was like worth it. And the MVP is meaningful to him. It's a meaningful award. It's like, it is part of history. MVPs in the NBA are like not forgotten. And when you look to see how meaningful it was to him and how meaningful it was to his teammates, I hope if at any point over the last couple of years, you said to yourself, well, this doesn't matter because it's not a championship, and it won't matter if he goes and loses in the second round and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, those things matter. Obviously, winning is the goal. Winning a championship is the goal. But there are other goals too. And to say that this is not just an individual goal. They don't give the MVP to a player whose team isn't good. And most times it's to a player whose team is really, really good, with maybe one notable exception or two notable exceptions last year. So as you said, his story, for it to start the way it did in Philadelphia, for it to go the way that has gone, in the beginning few years, all of the insanity that has happened around him, like the storm of shit that we remember, that we talk about, the craziness of the organization.
Yeah.
He was on the team for.
Yeah.
Like, it happened all around him. And somehow he's still here, and he's great, man. Like, I hope they get past Boston. I hope they win a title at some point. But I think AU put it best, where he was like, he should try to win the MVP, and he should win the MVP. And I'm very happy for him and proud of him. And we got an email from Gabriel, who said, the first Ricky pod I ever listened to was the 2014 draft preview. I listened to it on draft day, hours before the Sixers selected Embiid, and the trajectory of our basketball fandom changed forever. I just wanted to express my gratitude on behalf of all your regular listeners for giving us this community to share our suffering and our hope throughout the process years when absolutely nobody else wanted to talk about them. Reflecting on Joe's long road to the MVP really puts in perspective just how long we all have been doing this. Not really sure where I'm going with all of this, except in true Ricky fashion, I'm going to make it a little bit about us. I can't help but feel like this is kind of our MVP too, and it's more satisfying because of that. Now let's go beat the Celtics. I do feel like him the same way when a championship team, when a team wins a championship, you feel like you're part of that too. I think this individual award, I feel like we can celebrate it in a different way than a fan base would probably ever celebrate an MVP.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I'm trying to do some like quick adding as you're talking, but he's like the 33rd player to ever win an MVP, something like that. 35th. That's an exclusive list.
Yeah.
There's not that many of those guys.
Yeah.
I'm just really happy. I'd say it's the biggest individual accomplishment in any sport. This is the award. And I hope obviously it comes with the title. I think the title is more important. I think the title is more important to him and his teammates and to us and all that stuff. There's no reason to compare them, but this also is independently awesome. I'm just so fucking happy for the dude because he's the man. He is the best two-way player in the league this year. And it's a bummer that once again he's having to deal with an injury and questions about whether or not he can play or is at full strength in the playoffs. But for the regular season, he played enough games. He led the Sixers to the third best record in the league. You saw how hard they were better. It's weird that like they were better without him this year than they ever have been. And a lot of that is Harden, and some of that I would say is B-ball. And Maxey, I would also say. But yeah, it's an interesting that would happen this year. But, he's really proven it for several years that he's this kind of caliber player. And because of like a couple different matchups where, he blew up the Celtics, had over 50 against them. He blew up Jokic. He blew up the Bucks in a couple matchups. It was like those kinds of like high profile matchups that he won that finally allowed basically the casuals to be like, okay, cool. Yeah, he's our guy. And maybe Mike O'Connor's article turning the tide for them.
It did help. I know it helped.
I think so for sure. But it also is like, it would have been crazy to give Jokic 3 when Embiid had 0, which would have been insane.
He's led the league in scoring back-to-back seasons. He scored 33 points a game. It's fucking crazy.
And is when he turns it on, arguably the best defensive player in the league. For the last 4 minutes of the quarter. I gotta do this. Giannis fucking is not getting enough shit for Jimmy Butler destroying them.
It wasn't a failure, Mike. I don't know if you.
I don't care about the quotes. Like him being quoted on LinkedIn and stuff is funny. It's fine, whatever. But like, everyone says he's the best defender in the league. Everyone's like, well, Giannis is probably the best defender in the league. If you're not going to cover Jimmy Butler when he is absolutely destroying your team over and over again, then you're not the best defender in the league. You're not. Everyone's like, well, Bud probably wanted Drew on him. Like, he was destroying Drew. Drew has a size disadvantage. He has a strength disadvantage. Like you throw Giannis at him, and Giannis in those games was like barely ever covering him. Giannis is not the best point of attack defender on that team, and he's not the best rim protector on that team. He's just like able to play free safety on a very talented defensive team. And like that doesn't make him the best defender in the league. There's no chance that you could say that and he's not getting any like
no other players in that athletic poll who asked who the best defender in the league was. There were 2 players on his own team that players voted for over him as being the best defender.
To me, it's just like, dude, this guy is wrecking your shit. And for at no point you to go to the coach and say, hey, I'm going to cover him because I'm the best defender in the league and I should cover him. And like, it's not like it's Giannis is like, okay, I'm going to cover Dame. Like Jimmy is a forward and they're forwards together. There's not that much difference in their size and situation. And so it was crazy to me. I was up too late or too early in fucking France or whatever, texting various reporters being like, just like, why is no one talking about this? Like he should be getting more shit for it. I understand that he was a little bit injured. I understand that like there are other good players, but like at a certain point you were about to lose in the first round as the team with the best record in the league. And at no point do you say, all right, let me cover the guy that's wrecking our shit. And I think that is an indictment on him as a player and the idea of him as the best defensive player in the league, because that's not close. So anyway, Embiid, best two-way player in the league. I love him.
Honestly, give me a year and Paul Reed's a better defender than Giannis is.
Wow.
He's more mobile. He's more tenacious, I would say. We have a couple of other MVP things to get to here because I want to play the video of James Harden giving him a Rolex, which is also amazing, and talk about we have a couple of Embiid quotes, but also talk about the fact that somebody left Jokic off their MVP ballot. LL Pavorsky Jewelers is where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. The very first sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. 320 plus engagement rings sold to Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners. Mike, something big happened at Live Ricky 5. He got Amos Lee's phone number.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He does text him now. They have a texting relationship.
Wow.
Yeah, they have a texting relationship. So you spend enough on a ring, he might drop that phone number on the ground. Maybe he'll forget that it's there right in front of you. Might come with a bonus for a ring more than $5,000. I don't know how it goes. LL, if you're going to buy an engagement ring, do not wander into the store of some stranger with some salesperson who's going to jump right on your back as soon as you walk in there and pressure you into buying something you don't want. Go to LL. No pressure whatsoever. Just the kindest, most gentlest man who has Amos Lee's phone number. If you want to buy an engagement ring from LL, be one of the 320, be 321, be 322. Make an appointment. Do it that way. 215-627-2252. 215-627-2252. Email him, lee@llpavorsky.com. Tweet at him, @llpavorsky. Been at 707 Walnut for 35 plus years. Fucking shit up. Also a supporter of our charities, Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Can't spell B-ball without LL.
So as we have come to know, James Harden loves giving gifts. He loves it. This is what happened when Joel won MVP and James Harden gave him his own custom Rolex as a gift.
Ooh, my first Rolex. I had a Rolex. Yo, this is nice. Rose gold too? Wow.
Rose gold, Mike.
That's my ring. Me and Joel. And LL.
23 MVP, you hear me?
Oh my God.
Oh, we got to stick around for the end because it is very funny.
2023 MVP.
Thank you, bro. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. Come on. One more to do.
I got you.
Here. I got you.
How do you wear watches?
He said, left hand. Pronounce yourself.
How do you wear watches?
Yeah, I I think it might be too soon.
Don't worry about it. We get some more weeks on it.
Appreciate you.
Sure.
Which one gotta be this way, bro?
That's awesome.
How do you wear watches?
That's nice. Let me see. Oh, let me see the front of it. It's nice. Man,
Here comes the best part.
it's my first watch too. First one. You know that? That's good. And he has a 23 inside too. Wow. No, that's the date.
This guy said he doesn't know that the date is on there. Oh man, I love that.
Embiid did not know that there's a day thing on the front of the Rolex.
I don't know. He says 23. Today's the 23rd.
No.
You gotta set it, bro. You gotta set the watch.
But there's a reason why it says 23.
Hey, it's all right.
Nobody wants to tell Joel he's very wrong. Pretty funny.
So one person left Nikola Jokic off their MVP ballot. Now, one of your fill-in co-hosts was Adam Lefko. Adam Lefko had an MVP vote. Before he turned in his vote, he was contemplating leaving Jokic off the ballot. He communicated to me that he was contemplating this. I'm going to be honest, I did try to sway him to do it. I may have promised a t-shirt in his honor that everybody would wear, but he didn't. When he came on the podcast, he said he put Jokic third. My guess is that there is no way it wasn't Keith Pompey. Keith Pompey has an MVP vote, and my prediction is that Keith Pompey left Jokic off his ballot. And if that is the case, we may need to do a t-shirt with Keith Pompey's phone alarms.
Wow. We set an alarm every MVP vote to remember that maybe Keith has done.
Yeah. Incredible.
It's very funny that they give local beat writers MVP
It
votes.
seems like they shouldn't.
It seems like they really shouldn't.
Yeah.
Leaving him off the MVP ballot is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And wrong, but good for maybe Keith if that is what it is. Did you? We should mention that Joel specifically referenced Hinkie and also the burner accounts.
Oh wait, we have the
the-
burner account clip.
let's hear
CJ,
it.
can you bring up the burner account clip?
It's unbelievable. He's so online and has the like institutional memory that we have.
Here
He
we
should
go.
just host the podcast with us. He's obviously been on once in the bubble. Probably overdue for another one. Maybe
off-season.
after they win a championship, we'll bring him back.
We went through a lot, whether it's the burner accounts, my guy Sam Hinkie, getting kicked out. And there's a lot that has happened that we had to go through. And I think the fans are a big part of it, always been supportive. And like I said yesterday, this is it's not just, for me, my teammates, the whole organization, the fans, everybody played a big part of it.
He's right.
There we go. Yeah. I would suggest the press conference is about a half an hour, and it's a really good watch, I thought. The Embiid thing, just to, I guess, circle back. Oh, no, actually, here, this came from Bill. Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com, Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Now that Joel is officially the MVP, I have to ask who and how many people will be banned and what fire will rain down from the cosmos if Embiid somehow ends up on all NBA second team. My half-assed research says Dave Cowens is the only MVP not to be first team, but people question the MVP, not Kareem making first team over him. A CBS Sports Experts article a week or two ago was split on MVP, but unanimous on first team. Is it possible? Now, I don't know if your positionless victory happens this all NBA or next. It seems like it's for the next CBA.
I think so. I think that's right.
I think it's entirely possible he's second team all NBA.
When does that get announced, or when has the voting for that already happened?
Yeah.
Then I think he's probably good.
You think so?
Yeah. If it was like towards the end of the playoffs and the Embiid, say it was injured or something, and Jokic ends up going far, the Nuggets are up 2-0 right now, so maybe that changes it. But I think I think he's probably in there safely, although it would be a fun thing to get mad about for sure. One less ride for positions on the team that isn't playing.
And finally, a basketball email that I think this has been addressed a number of times on the pod, but I actually think it should happen this series. This is from Jacob. Hey, Spike, AU, and CJ. But Mike is back. Yes, I'm assuming Mike's ban will be extended because the victory tour ain't over yet. Can you believe Paul cashed all 4 of those free throws in crunch time? What the hell? It started out as a bit of a joke, but it couldn't be more serious now. When Joel's back, it's not negotiable. He needs to be playing minutes with Paul Reed. They cannot limit one. They can't limit Paul to 8 minutes a game when he's capable of being the 3rd best player on a playoff team. 2, if the Sixers are going to pay this man what he deserves, he cannot just be the backup center to their best player. He will need to carve out a role with Embiid. 3, the Sixers' wing depth, as you mentioned earlier, Mike, is not ideal. Paul can hold up defensively and take minutes from a worse option. 4, especially with Joel in an injured state, he can't be the only positive rim protector and rebounder in the game for 38 minutes while also carrying the offense. Adding B-ball introduces another versatile answer to whatever scheme those Boston fucks concoct. 5, Joel and Paul sharing the court has tremendous potential to create a moment so electric that it goes down as the greatest in process history.
Yeah, for some reason, a Joel Paul playoff moment feels like. Do you remember that clip when Dario had 2 blocks on the Raptors in one play?
Yes, of course.
And then I think it was Joel shoved him from the bench, shoved him ass first.
Yes.
That feels like something that would happen here. I think we're getting close to it. I do think this is the matchup for it because of the occasions, although they haven't played it much, when they play Horford and Rob Williams together. It's just like they have PJ Tucker in the dunker spot sometimes. They have Tobias in the dunker spot sometimes. Like, you can put Paul there. Paul's a better impactful dunker spot guy than any of those. And then if Joel has to like cover the perimeter, then there's somebody back. Paul can rotate over and protect the rim sometimes. And it's just, I don't think it's going to happen because every quote is like, our natural instinct is to be mad at Paul and be upset at him for not getting every single thing that we're trying to get. And we want to simplify the game for him as much as possible. So introducing a scenario where he plays the 4 with Joel is not simplifying that scenario, but I think it should happen. I think it would be helpful to happen. I think it provides a boost of energy. Yeah, I mean, honestly, as far as like toughness and physicality goes, like 2 of B-Ball, Embiid, and PJ Tucker should be on the court at all times.
I agree. And I think B-Ball is like listens enough and is malleable enough on defense to like I love PJ Tucker. There's no reason why if PJ Tucker's not in there, Paul Reed can't be.
Sure.
There's just no reason. And the energy that he provides, one thing that is true about Embiid, as good as he is he's like not a particularly aggressive rebounder. He just isn't. He's never been. He's not good at it. He's not aggressive at it. He's fine. He's a fine.
Once in a while, he'll like determine that that's what he's going to do. But his natural instinct is to be like, all right, it's okay.
It would be nice to have a guy get a fucking. I mentioned on Twitter earlier. There was a quote from Josh Hart last week that was great. He said to Brunson, he was like, I get rebounds that break the other team. And it's like that offensive rebound at the fucking right spot that kicks out to a 3 and it's over.
Yeah.
And there are only 2 players on the Sixers that get those rebounds. Yeah. It's Tucker and Reed.
Once in a while, Melton, but yeah.
Yeah. Like I would like to, even if it's 3 minutes in one game, I would just like to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Look, I've been calling for it for a long time, Spike. I've been calling for this for a long time. It's not like Jalen McDaniels is playing relatively big minutes off the bench. He hasn't been very good. Niang hasn't been very good. It's just like good stuff happens when B-Ball's out there. I think it was in a Newbeck article on Philly Voice where it was like talking. Some player was quoted as saying like Paul Reed works so hard and has so much effort that like he puts himself in a position to get lucky. and get lucky and come up with those rebounds. And he just does it all the time. He had another three offensive rebounds tonight. Like it's just automatic, and it would be nice to get some of those possessions when Embiid's out there. I'm not saying for the whole game, but it's just when this team looks flat, you obviously don't want to take Embiid out for long stretches of time, but having some like, this is in our back pocket, we put him out there together, where you can go Embiid doing everything. It's like a nice counter to when like Embiid has to play against a guy that is stretching the floor a little bit. Because then B-ball can clean it up, and then B-ball can get some rebounds, and he's just not as he's allowed to do a little bit more like flying around. I love how good he's become. I love how like legitimately good he's become, and he's made himself a lot of money, and I wonder what, not for now discussion, but like what B-ball's going to command this offseason.
3 years, $60 million.
60.
Yeah, he's gonna get he'll get 318. He's about like, right? I mean, he can't get much more than that. He's not going to get the long rumored Furkan contract, will he?
What did I say what that was going to be?
Didn't you say 12 million a year? I think you did.
It seems high now hearing it. Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see what Paul gets. I'm excited to see. And if he gets a lot, I'm not going to be upset about it because he deserves it. Go. It'd be really funny if he gets like a huge contract for like $25 million and still sells hoodies for $100 via DM.
Oh, he will. Oh, the other thing you didn't find out about is that his mom appears to be shipping them now from Florida.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Well, Mike is back. The Sixers split with Boston.
I was banned.
You were banned.
And I probably would have done we were going to have me do the podcast anyway, even if they did win.
Oh no, that brings into question whether that's why they lost.
It could have been why they lost for sure.
Shit.
I am also on strike in my regular job, so it's really a lot of a number of changing and work stoppages in my life right now. So would like the Sixers to provide some victory stability.
That's all we
during
ask.
These troubled times.
Is it too much to ask the Sixers for a little stability?
Yeah, come on.
I think it probably is. But
we can always depend on them for normal stuff.
We'll
see.
We will talk to you Friday night after the game. Hopefully a win with a bag of Tatum Ruffles in hand. We'll talk to you then. Thanks for listening. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah,